You know that feeling when you walk into a room and it just feels, I don't know, off? Like everyone else is operating on a different frequency, and maybe you're just a little out of sync.
Yeah, totally.
Maybe you've been told you're quirky, or maybe you just feel like you're constantly trying to fit into some kind of mold that just wasn't made for you.
Uh-huh.
If that sounds familiar, well, you are absolutely in the right place today.
Exactly. This deep dive is really designed for you if making genuine connections or, simply being yourself has ever felt like a bit of an uphill battle.
Yeah.
We're going to explore the work of relationship and confidence coach Lark Erickson and this really fascinating idea that what you might see as your awkward self isn't a liability at all.
Oh,
It can actually be, well, a powerful asset.
a superpower in disguise. Okay, I love that framing.
Right.
So our goal today is really to dig into why it can be so tough, and to embrace who we truly are. And more importantly, maybe uncover some practical ways we can start owning our individuality to build like stronger relationships and a deeper sense of confidence.
And Lark Erickson's insights are basically our roadmap for this journey.
Perfect. So where do we start?
Well, let's start by looking at just the immense pressure we all face. This pressure to live up to these often completely fabricated ideals.
Placated, yeah.
Lark Erickson really highlights how media constantly bombards us with these very narrow definitions of success, beauty, and what a good life looks like.
Right.
Think about it, the flawless images, the seemingly effortless achievements we see online. It's a very specific, often totally unattainable picture.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like scrolling through a perfectly curated like museum of other people's best moments.
Exactly.
You rarely see the messy behind-the-scenes stuff, do you?
Never.
And it's so easy to fall into that trap of thinking, well, why doesn't my life look like that? Am I doing something wrong?
And that constant comparison, as Erickson points out, it has a real psychological impact. It fuels feelings of inadequacy, this persistent sense that we're somehow falling short. This can lead straight to anxiety, it breeds self-doubt, and it can make us genuinely afraid to just be ourselves.
Yeah.
Because our reality doesn't seem to measure up to these, highly polished illusions. It makes you wonder, like, what are the underlying things that make these comparisons, especially online, so potent in shaping how we see ourselves?
That's a really good question. It's almost like we're sort of wired to compare, maybe.
Could be.
But the amplified, filtered nature of online life just takes that natural tendency and like cranks it up to 11.
Definitely. And as Erickson rightly says, trying to keep up with these unrealistic expectations is just, well, it's draining.
Well, it's certainly exhausting.
And ultimately, it's a losing game.
Right.
But here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Instead of viewing our authentic selves, including those parts we might think are awkward, as something to hide, Erickson reframes them as a source of genuine strength. She argues that those real, honest expressions of who we are, those are what truly foster deeper connections with others.
Okay.
I mean, have you ever noticed that you feel closer to people when they show you their vulnerabilities, maybe their quirks, rather than when they just present this flawless facade?
Absolutely. It's the imperfections, the little idiosyncrasies that make people relatable and human. Wow.
Exactly. That's it.
So maybe instead of trying to sand down all our unique edges to fit into some imaginary box, we should actually be celebrating those differences.
That's the core idea. Exactly. And to really let this sink in, let's maybe take a moment to reflect. We can use some of the key questions Lark Erickson poses.
Okay, like what?
Like, where in your own life have you felt like you weren't quite measuring up? What specific standard were you trying to achieve? And if you dig a little deeper, where did that ideal even come from?
Right. Where did I get that idea?
Yeah. And what parts of yourself have you perhaps kept hidden or felt a bit ashamed of because of these external pressures? And ultimately, maybe the biggest one, what does being truly authentic mean to you personally?
Wow, okay. Those are powerful questions to really sit with.
They are.
And Erickson offers a couple of really insightful mantras, I guess, to keep in mind as we navigate this.
Yeah.
One is compare and despair, which just rings so true in this hyper-connected world, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's hard.
And the other one is I won't judge myself just by the illusion of someone else.
Ooh, I like that. Let those percolate.
Yeah, definitely let those sink in for a moment. Okay, so now let's shift our focus a bit. Let's talk about what Erickson calls owning your authentic self, that sort of internal work of embracing who you are.
Right. So what does internal authenticity really look like in practice?
Question.
Well, Erickson breaks it down into, first, actively embracing your unique personality, quirks, those little individualities that make you, well, you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Things that maybe feel a bit odd sometimes.
Could be. It also involves owning your specific hobbies and interests, even if they feel a little outside the mainstream, maybe kind of niche or weird.
Oh, yeah.
And crucially, it's about acknowledging and honoring your genuine desires, what you truly want in life, not what you think you should want based on what everyone else expects. And what's fascinating here is to sort of consider how maybe early life experiences might shape which quirks or desires we feel safe expressing and which ones we tend to push down.
That even if their weird or niche part really stands out to me. Because isn't it often in those less conventional passions that we find the most joy, and the most authentic expression of ourselves?
Precisely. That's often where the gold is. And Erickson touches on the reasons why we often keep these deeper parts of ourselves under wraps.
Yeah, why do we do that?
Well, the biggest one usually is the fear of judgment.
Oh, okay.
That worry that if we show our true colors, we won't be accepted or we'll be made fun of. There's also just the pervasive societal pressure to conform, this often unspoken message that fitting in is somehow more valuable than standing out.
Yeah, blend in.
Right. And then there's our own internal self-doubt, that nagging little voice that whispers that who we are, at our core just isn't good enough.
Ugh, that voice. And the cost of constantly hiding those parts of ourselves, it can be pretty significant, can't it?
Oh,
It's
definitely.
not just about feeling unseen by others. It can create a real disconnect within ourselves.
Yes.
And maybe lead to relationships that feel, I don't know, shallow.
Superficial, exactly. Plus, as Erickson points out, it just takes a tremendous amount of energy to constantly maintain a facade. It's
It
exhausting.
really is.
But look, there's a really empowering shift in perspective available here.
Okay.
Erickson encourages us to actually reframe those very traits you might be trying to hide as potential strengths.
Oh, interesting. How?
Well, those quirks, they're often what make you interesting and memorable to other people. Those niche hobbies, they can be a source of deep joy, spark creativity, and even lead you to find your tribe, people who share those exact passions.
Finding your people.
Exactly. And your desires. They're valid indicators of what truly matters to you, regardless of whether they align with popular opinion or what your family thinks or whatever.
So by embracing these aspects of ourselves, we're not just being more honest. We're actually opening ourselves up to forming deeper connections
Right.
with people who value us for who we authentically are.
Precisely.
And that self-acceptance, it seems like that's a really crucial first step, maybe, in building both genuine relationships and that inner confidence we're all kind of looking for.
Couldn't agree more. So maybe here are a few more reflection questions for our listeners to consider.
Let's hear them.
What are some personality traits or quirks you felt maybe self-conscious about in the past? What hobbies or interests have you maybe downplayed or even kept secret? And why? What were the reasons behind that? What do you truly desire in life? And how much of your energy are you currently actually dedicating to pursuing those desires?
That's a challenging one.
It is. And maybe the most insightful question. Just imagine for a second, what would it feel like to fully own and express these very real parts of yourself?
Yeah. Just picturing that freedom can be quite powerful, actually.
It can. And to help us along the way, Erickson offers these really grounding mantras too.
Okay.
There is only one me. Just simple truth, right? But surprisingly easy to forget sometimes.
So true.
And being myself is my greatest strength.
I like that one too. Being myself is my greatest strength.
Yeah.
Hold on to those. Okay, so now let's delve into those persistent patterns of belief, the ones that can keep us feeling like we're constantly falling short, that not enough feeling.
Yes, this is such a key area. Erickson explains that our core beliefs about ourselves, they aren't formed overnight, right?
Right.
They're often shaped by repeated experiences, the thoughts we consistently have, and the dynamics of our relationships over time.
Makes sense.
And when we consistently engage with situations or thoughts that reinforce this idea that we're somehow not enough, that pattern becomes really deeply ingrained. It's almost like a mental groove, It gets deeper the more we travel down that path.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, isn't it?
Kind of, yeah.
We feel inadequate, so we might subconsciously seek out situations or even people who, unfortunately, confirm that feeling for us, which then just reinforces that negative belief all over again. it can be a really tough cycle to break free from.
It really can. And as Erickson points out, these patterns, even though they can be really damaging, they can also feel strangely familiar, almost safe.
Yeah, weirdly comfortable.
Which is why stepping outside of them can feel so challenging sometimes. They can keep us stuck by constantly amplifying negativity, replaying those self-doubting thoughts on loop,
Hmm.
and making us resistant to any change that might disrupt that established, albeit unhealthy, pattern.
Okay, so it's familiar, it feels safe, even if it's bad for us. What are some tangible steps we can actually take to start dismantling these not enough patterns? Erickson provides some really practical guidance here, really.
She does. The first step really is just becoming aware of your triggers.
Figures, okay.
Identifying those specific activities or thoughts or maybe even types of relationships that tend to make you feel inadequate. She even suggests writing them down just to help you identify recurring themes.
Just noticing them is the start.
That act of conscious awareness is the crucial first step, absolutely. Then, Erickson emphasizes the importance of cultivating a more positive environment.
Right.
This involves actively seeking out and spending time with supportive, uplifting people who genuinely appreciate you for who you are.
Yeah, your cheerleaders.
Exactly, and also engaging in activities and being in spaces that bring you joy and make you feel more confident.
That makes perfect sense. It's hard to build yourself up when you're constantly surrounded by negativity, isn't it?
Possible, almost.
The next tip involves actively challenging those negative thoughts.
That's right.
And consciously replacing them with positive affirmations.
Yes, like telling yourself, I am capable and worthy, even if it feels a bit awkward at first.
Fake it till you make it, maybe.
A little bit. And also practicing gratitude as a
Yeah.
way to intentionally shift your focus towards the good things in your life rather than just the perceived lacks.
Okay. Affirmations and gratitude.
Right.
What else?
Absolutely. And it's not just about changing your thoughts, it's also about taking small, concrete actions. Erickson suggests setting small, achievable goals that push you just slightly outside your comfort zone, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And then really acknowledging and celebrating every single success, no matter how small it might seem. Those small wins create a new positive feedback loop.
I like that. Build momentum. And setting boundaries is so important too, isn't it?
Crucial.
Learning to create some distance from people or situations that consistently drain your energy or make you feel unworthy. Saying no when you need to, that can be incredibly empowering and reshaping these patterns.
It's absolutely essential for protecting your mental and emotional well-being. No question. And finally, Erickson offers this really insightful piece of advice. Get in the zone.
Get in the zone. What does that mean?
Pay attention to those times when things feel like they're flowing effortlessly for you, when you're naturally skilled at something or just really engaged.
Flow state.
Kind of, yeah. And consciously lean into those areas of strength and inclination. Spend more time there.
That's a fantastic way to build momentum and positive reinforcement. Okay, so as you're listening, maybe take a moment to reflect on these questions Erickson poses. What specific patterns of belief are currently keeping you feeling stuck in self-doubt? Who or what consistently makes you feel unworthy? And are there ways you can maybe create more healthy distance from those influences?
A good one.
And what's one small, tangible action you could take, maybe even today, to begin breaking free from those patterns? Just one small thing.
Really powerful questions to ponder. Now, shall we move on to some very practical tips for actively embracing your authenticity and building a stronger sense of confidence? Again, drawing from Lark Erickson's valuable insights.
Yes, let's get practical. Let's start with concrete ways to embrace your authentic self. What does Erickson suggest?
Well, she emphasizes the importance of getting to know yourself on a deeper level first.
Okay.
This involves taking time for self-reflection, maybe through journaling, like we mentioned, to explore your core values, your genuine passions, and your natural strength.
Right.
Really think about those activities, hobbies, or personal traits that make you feel most genuinely you.
That self-awareness piece again, it seems foundational.
It really is. And once you have that clearer understanding, it's about actively celebrating your uniqueness.
Celebrating it.
Embrace those quirks, habits, and even perceived flaws as integral parts of what makes you special. Consciously focus on what you appreciate about yourself rather than getting fixated on what you think you should be.
And be incredibly gentle with yourself throughout this whole process,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, absolutely.
Erickson stresses the importance of practicing self-compassion.
Yes. Speaking to yourself with the same kindness, understanding, and encouragement you would offer a close friend.
Especially when those moments of self-doubt creep in, which they will.
Exactly. They always do. And release the pressure of striving for some unattainable ideal of perfection.
Ugh, perfectionism.
Recognize that making mistakes is just an inherent part of being human, and that real growth comes from learning and adapting, not from achieving some flawless state. Just focus on putting in your best effort in the present moment.
Good advice. And we touched on this earlier, but it's worth repeating. Intentionally surround yourself with people who are supportive, people who encourage you to be your true self. And on the flip side, consciously create some distance from negativity and from individuals who try to pressure you into conforming to their expectations.
Build your supportive bubble. And this is a really practical takeaway, too. If there are aspects of yourself or your circumstances that you can't readily change, focus on how you can effectively manage them. As Erickson wisely says, work with what you have, and even consider leaning into it. Sometimes fully accepting and even embracing those unchangeable aspects can be incredibly liberating.
Work with what you have. Lean into it.
Yeah.
I like that. Now let's talk about building confidence, which I imagine naturally flourishes when we embrace our authenticity.
They go hand in hand, really.
So what's Erickson's first actionable tip for confidence?
Take small, brave steps.
Small, brave steps.
It's those little nudges that take you just outside your comfort zone. And it's so important to acknowledge and celebrate every single one of those small victories, no matter how insignificant they might seem.
Right.
That positive reinforcement really builds momentum and belief in yourself.
It really did. And just like we discussed with the negative thought patterns, it's crucial to actively challenge those self-doubting inner voices, isn't it?
Constantly. Counter them with positive affirmations, like we said, and by recalling actual evidence of times you've successfully navigated challenges or shown resilience.
Look at your track record.
Exactly. Intentionally replace that "I can't do this" with a more empowering and hopeful, "Okay, I'll give it my best shot."
And really focus on your inherent strengths.
Yeah.
That seems key too.
Yes. Erickson suggests actually making a list of your accomplishments and your skills.
Writing it down.
Yeah, and revisiting that list whenever you're feeling uncertain or facing a new challenge. Leverage those strengths to tackle new opportunities and build further confidence from there.
That makes sense. And here's where authenticity and confidence really seem to intertwine.
Yeah.
Strive to present yourself authentically.
Yes, in all facets of your life.
From the way you choose to dress, to the opinions you share, even the activities you choose to participate in.
Absolutely. The more you live in alignment with your genuine self, the more comfortable and, consequently, the more confident you will naturally start to feel. It just happens.
And don't underestimate the power of gratitude, either.
Never.
Taking a few moments each day to reflect on what you're thankful for about yourself, about your life, can significantly shift your mindset away from focusing on perceived shortcomings and towards appreciating what you already possess, which in turn really boosts your overall confidence.
It's a powerful practice, and Erickson offers a great practical tool for this. Keep a success journal.
The success journal.
Yeah. Regularly jot down things you're good at, accomplishments you've achieved, maybe those activities that seem to come naturally to you where you feel that flow.
Oh, okay.
This can serve as a powerful and tangible reminder of your capabilities when you're having a tough day.
That's a great idea. Okay, so as we begin to wrap things up, let's maybe consider these final reflection questions from Erickson.
Sounds good.
What activities or experiences make you feel most authentically yourself? And how can you consciously incorporate more of those into your daily life? Think about times when you felt most confident. What were the circumstances? And how can you consciously try to cultivate those feelings more regularly?
Yeah, replicate the conditions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And finally, what's one small, brave step you can take today, like right after listening, to show up in the world a little more authentically? Just one thing.
Great questions to err on. So really, the core message here, which I think Lark Erickson articulates beautifully, is that embracing your authentic self with all its unique quirks and individualities, it isn't a weakness to overcome, but rather it's a fundamental source of strength. It's the very foundation upon which you can build genuine connections with others and cultivate a lasting sense of confidence within yourself.
Beautifully put. And if you're listening and feeling like, you'd benefit from some additional support and connection on this journey of self-acceptance and personal growth, Lark Erickson actually hosts a free Awkward to Awesome meetup group. Yeah, it sounds like a fantastic resource where you can connect with others who are on a similar path. And as Erickson wisely advises, it's often much more effective and frankly more encouraging to grow with a supportive community rather than trying to navigate these changes all in isolation.
Absolutely. Connecting with a community that understands and supports your journey can make such a profound difference. Highly recommend looking into that.
Definitely check that out.
Yeah.
And finally, let's leave you with one last thought to consider.
Okay.
Imagine for a moment the ripple effect. If everyone felt truly comfortable and empowered to be their true, unfiltered selves,
Oh,
what kind of richer connections, what kind of incredible creativity might we collectively unlock?
that's a truly inspiring idea to think about.
It really is. Until our next deep dive, keep exploring and embracing all that makes you uniquely you.